Hello everyone. So now let's discuss the third video of your introduction section, which is Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. So first of all, on the PMI website, you can go on the pmi.org and you can download the Code of Ethics sheet, which will talk about what are the. So now let's discuss the third video of your introduction section, which is Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. So first of all, on the PMI website, you can go on the pmi.org and you can download the Code of Ethics sheet, which will talk about what are the things you should do in some kind of scenarios. An important topic, I would say around 5 to 6 questions you may expect from this particular section, an important one. What does this topic include? Behave ethically. PMI wants you to always behave ethically in any circumstance. Not just PMI, I or you also want to make sure you're always ethical. Comply with the laws and regulations. So this complying with the laws and regulations is an important statement because sometimes you are working on an uh, overseas environment and in a different country, so you have to make sure you are complying with the laws and regulations of that country, not just with where you are residing, but if you have been given an assignment outside the country, you have to make sure you comply with the laws and regulations of that country. Support PMI. If PMI reaches out to you with any questions and concern, always make sure that you're supporting them. If they reach out to you asking you about your colleague, your relative, your boss or anything, please make sure that you are giving right information to them. It's very important. Responsibility to the profession. See, what I'm doing right now, I'm actually I'm doing this point number 4, responsibility to the profession. I'm making sure that I'm giving more and more PMPs to this industry. So it's your job also to apply the PMI processes, whatever you will learn in this course. Eventually, all of these things are pretty good, and you will learn a lot. You will see the difference in the way you are managing the projects. Do the right thing even when it is not favorable. Yes, that's very important. Always make sure you're doing the right thing. If you think that you have to complain against anybody, you think the people are not doing ethical things, then you should be the one who is the first one who is complaining against them. Take the step. It's very, very important. So what does this topic include? Never deviate from the PMI processes. Always remember, there are 49 processes, there are 5 process groups, there are 10 knowledge areas. Please refer to your ITTO sheet, what you have. If you have not till now downloaded, go to the website www.eduhubspot.com and download under the resources section. I want you to make sure you see these ITTO sheet almost every time. Like I remember I took out couple of printouts of these sheets, and I stick them on my wall, and even in my restroom, in front of my office, like everywhere I had those sheets when I was preparing for the exam. I don't know, I'm not saying you have to do it, but it is something which would really help you. Cooperate fully whenever asked. So if PMI is asking you with some information, please be honest and please give the right information. Seek to problem solve. This is actually one of the tips and tricks which I taught you was, as a project manager, you have to be, you have to take a decision. You have to make sure that you're solving the problem. There would be 4 options where it will tell you that, okay, A is a good option, B is a better option, C totally wrong answer, and D might be the best answer. See, read all 4 options. A and B might be good options, but are they really solving the problem which is described in the question? Ask this question to yourself. If they are, then yes, they might be the answer. But if they are not, then they are definitely not the answer. Like for example, if you see an option, it says scope management plan is a part of project management plan. Yes, that's a correct statement, but is it resolving something? So as a project manager, you need to make sure that you are solving that problem which is described in the question. Avoid and disclose conflict of interest. So what is this conflict of interest? Like for example, I'm a project manager, and I want to select a vendor for my project. Now one of my neighbor who is who bid for the project is bidding for the project. I came to know about it. See, if yes, of course I'm ethical. Whatever things I do, I will probably not favor that person. I won't be biased at all. But it's my job to make sure I inform the management that I have a conflict of interest. He is somebody who lives nearby, and I don't want you guys to you come to know about it, and that goes against me. So in order to make sure that you're doing the right thing, always avoid and always disclose the conflict of interest. Then it's up to the panel if they want me to be part of the panel or not. If they want me to remove it, that's absolutely fine. But at least I am ethical because I informed everyone about it. Professional responsibility is not one of the 10 knowledge areas. Instead, it will touch all the areas of profession. So it's not one of the knowledge areas. There are only 10 knowledge areas, but it will touch each and every knowledge area over here. So there would be 5 chapters in this code of conduct. I think it's on page number 3 of PMBOK, but it's very briefly given. The in much more detail, there is a on the website there is a PDF document which you can download, 9 to 10 pages, which will talk about these 5 chapters. First is vision and applicability. Then we have responsibility. Third, we have the respect. Fourth, we have fairness. And 5, we have the honesty. So vision and applicability, chapter 1 of this code. Always advance the profession. Whatever I'm doing right now, I'm actually advancing the profession. I'm a PMP certified, and I want you guys to become PMP certified. So the same way, try to talk to people, try to tell them if you really benefit out of it, that, this is something which has really helped you, and, you recommend it to others. But only recommend if you like it and if you are really getting the help. It's totally up to you. This applies to PMI members and non-members seeking or holding a PMI certification. Yes, so if you're seeking or holding a PMI certification, all of these rules apply to you. Even if you're not a member, but if you are PMP certified, this professional code of conduct will always apply to you. Subject to PMI ethics review committee. If there is some kind of issue, or you're not being ethical, or you did something wrong, it will go to the ethics review committee. What happens in ethics review committee is there's a group of panel of some of the recognized names. They will read your case, and they will take a decision whether you did the right thing or you did not do the right thing. It uphold values in the next four chapters. So all of these 4 chapters are very much related with each other. So this is chapter 1, which is vision and applicability. Chapter 2 is responsibility. So responsibility to uphold laws, rules and regulations and policies. Responsibility to report illegal conduct. If you see something is going wrong, you should be the first one to go against it. You should be the first one to complain to the necessary authorities about it. And if you travel to a different country, make sure you are upholding the laws, rules and regulations of that particular country. You need to respect those laws. Then third, we have the respect, which is respect for other customs, respect for other opinions, respect for other people, and polite behavior, no matter what. If your colleague is saying something different, this doesn't mean that you have to fight about it. No, respect their opinions. Maybe it may be wrong, and maybe it may be right. Respect for customs, right? See, this is a virtual world where we work with people all across the world. There are different customs, and you should be the one who should always respect those customers. So let's do a quick practice question. Assume that you are working on a project. You started this project in January. You reached out to your team. You're a good project manager. You reached out to team and tell them that if you have any vacations planned, let me know. So you're working in a virtual environment, your team is, globally located, and you ask them, team, do you have any vacation plans? So, there were few people, those who gave you their dates and things like that. And based upon their availability, you laid out a project schedule. So you have a project schedule, and you laid out that this is where deliverable one would go live, this is where your deliverable two will go live, and you have, framed it out pretty nicely. You have published it on the website so that everyone can see it, and you're regularly providing updates. Now, it's, let's say it's November time frame, and two of your resources reached out to you asking you whether they want to take a leave. They want to take a leave for a week's leave because it's a very big festival in their home country. Now, and this is a festival which they already know, which the date is already published by the government of that country, that this is when that festival would be published. Now, what will you do at that scenario, at that time? And remember, an important deliverable is due the very next day. What will you do in such kind of scenario? Will you give the leave or will you not give the leave? Remember, you have to wear your PMI hat in order to answer this question. Let me give you the option. Option A is give the leave. Give the leave because it's their right. Don't give the leave because you did your best in telling them, and it's an important deliverable, you may lose money out of it, right? C, give the leave if they find a backup. If they find a backup, give them the leave. Tell them to work overtime, complete everything, and if they do, complete everything, and if they do, then give them the leave. So I repeat the question. You were very nice, you published the project schedule, you asked for leaves in the beginning, and there were few folks, those who did not reach out to you at that time, and at the time of your deliverable due date, they came and reached out to you for a 1 week leave because there was a big festival over there. Now, what would you do in that scenario? A, give them the leave. B, don't give the leave because you were ethical in the beginning, right? You were straightforward. C, give the leave if they find a backup. And D, ask them, request them to do things in parallel. Do overtime, complete their work. If they can do it, give them the leave. See, in real world scenario, I'm not favoring any particular option. I'm not saying I will just reject the leave. I may, it just depends. Or I'm not saying that, I'll give them the leave if they find a backup, or, if they complete their work, I don't have any problem with that. It depends. I'm not favoring any particular option. But let's read all of these options. See, if they have if they have the right, then you will definitely, you can't reject their leave straightforward. So option number B goes. So which was, don't give the leave. So don't give the, sorry, I've written live. Don't give the leave. See, give the leave if they find a backup. Whose responsibility is to find the backup? Is it your responsibility, or is it your team member's responsibility? It can't be the answer. D, overtime, really, in this ethical world, yes, in real world you might ask for overtime and you might give it to them, but it's not preferable. The only option which is left is give the leave to them. It is their right. You have to respect other customs. You have to respect other customs. See, it may take some time to digest these type of questions, but trust me, slowly and gradually you will start learning these things. Okay? Next we have the fairness. No conflict of interest, real or potential, no prejudice, no favoritism, openness, integrity in making decisions, impartiality, equal opportunity. Another, let's do questions. I'm really, really excited, and I'm giving you these questions because I want you to learn. So let's say you are working with a contractor in a different country. So your contractor is in a different country. In a different country. You work with 10-15 folks in that country, and they are your team members. you came to know that a male employee in that contracting company, it's not your company, the male employee was promoted because he was male. And you definitely know that the female employee was more experienced and she is doing far, far, far better work than the male employee. So to be honest, you feel that the male employee was not doing a good job, but female employee was more deserving and she should have been promoted. You know for the fact, you're pretty confident about it. What will you do in such a scenario? A, request the contracting team's management to the female employee, promote the female employee. B, don't do anything because this is not your, don't do anything because that's not your company, right? It's none of your business. C, reach out to your management, reach out to your management and tell them about this, who to all the department whosoever are working. So you'll reach out to your management and tell this about to your departments, those who are dealing with this particular contractor. D, reject the contract. And actually I want to correct the first option. The first option was request to promote the female employee, but if they don't, then don't do anything. Don't do anything. And there is one more option, request to promote the female employee, and if they don't, then take strict actions about it. And these strict actions, if they means to cancel the contract, you'll go ahead and do that. Okay, in the exam you will only get 4 options, but I deliberately gave you 5 options, so don't be surprised about it. So first, let's see, request to promote the female employee, but if they don't do anything. Okay, let's keep it. B, don't do anything. See, this is not good, right? You have to take certain action. You can't just leave the problem as is. Reach out to your management and reach out to the other departments. What will it do? Will it really help you? Nah, right? It's not giving you a solution to the problem. Fourth, reject the contract. It's too extreme of a choice. That can't be the choice. So only 2 options are request to promote, which is option A and E. Request to promote and don't do anything if they don't. And E is request to promote the female employee but take strict actions if they don't. See, in option A, you are actually not doing the right thing. Of course, you are requesting them, so you did the first step, you crossed the first hurdle. But if they are not doing it, then still you are accepting that, right? You're still accepting that they promoted the male employee when he or she is when he was not deserving at all. So you will go for option E. You will request them to promote the female employee. If they don't, then you will probably have some hard discussions with them, which there might be some reasons which you're not aware of, right? But when you have those strict discussions with them, then you will come to know about it. And if that means to reject the contract, you will go ahead and do that. Next, we have the honesty chapter. Always, understand the truth. Not just understanding the truth is important, always tell the truth, especially when it hurts. It may be difficult, but you need to make sure that you are telling the right thing. Communicate openly, don't hide anything. I don't know this, in real world, you communicate openly, you try to find the issues and, root cause, and then you communicate. But in PMI world, you should always, communicate openly. Whenever it is wrong, you should be the first one to communicate that information. Act in good faith, encourage others to tell the truth. If if your colleague is applying for an application, PMI application, and if you know that he or she is not being honest enough, then you should be the one who should go against and complain about it. Never lie or deceive in any way. Please make sure, again, it's the same thing. In the end, it's all about truth and honesty. You have to be honest for doing the right thing. So let's do a quick revision. Um, Focus on the code of conduct, read it at least twice. So that 8 to 9 document I'm referring to, it's a PDF file on the PMI website. Read it once, watch this video, and trust me, slowly and gradually, the more questions you will practice, you will become more confident. On the full length test on our website, you will see that there is a specific section on the professional responsibility where it will show you that you got 5, 10 questions and you got, let's say, 8 correct, 9 correct, 7 correct. out Outline high level it by memory. You need to understand it. Paraphrase each chapter in a short paragraph. Try to what does respect mean, what does responsibility means. Try to paraphrase that. Take as many practice questions in this area as possible. The more you practice, it's not just for this, the more you practice, the better it is. So next topic is the foundational terms and concepts. So this next video we will talk about the terms and terminology, the glossary section, specifically the terms which are so commonly used in your real world and would be so commonly used in your PMP exam as well. Thank you, and stay calm, stay focused, and we will make sure that we get you this PMP. Thank you. Hello everyone. So now let's discuss the fourth video of introduction management, which is your foundational terms and concepts. So basically what we are doing in this particular video, that we will discuss some of the terms and terminology which we will so often use in this entire coursework. Previously, we completed our professional responsibility, the code of conduct, where we had 5 sub-chapters. But now let's start going into the real PMP. I would say, if you ask me personally, the real PMP is something which we would start when we do the first knowledge area, which is integration. But again, prior to going into the knowledge area, we need to understand those concepts. That's very important. So first of all, I have been talking about these terms like 49 processes, 5 process groups, and 10 knowledge areas. So first term is processes. What is a process? What am I referring about? So process, it's a package of inputs, tools, and outputs used together to perform something valuable. So if you have your ITTO sheet with you, go and see the first and the second tab, specifically the second tab. Each process is divided by inputs. So if you see, there are inputs, and then we have some tools which are working on those inputs to give something valuable, which is your outputs. So tools work on the inputs to give you something valuable, which is output. What certification are we doing? It's known as PMP, Project Management Professional. But what is this project? Think of an example of a project as something which is unique, something which has never been done by the performing organization, something which is time limited, temporary. So by temporary, I mean it has to have a definite end time. Like for example, developing a brand new EduHubSpot website. This is a brand new project, and the duration of this project is, let's say, 6 months. I need to make sure that within 6 months this project gets completed. That's a project. What is a program? So at the lowest level, we have the project which has certain set of requirements to be completed in a certain time. Program, on the other hand, it's a group of related projects managed together, usually to realize some common efficiencies. So now I don't have one project, I have multiple projects, 1, 2, 3. They all report to one particular program. So for example, PMP program at Edu HubSpot with both virtual and classroom training session. So again, we have, I would say PMP for us, it's a program. We do virtual training. I'm teaching the same concept over there. So something, these projects are related with each other. Then we do classroom. Then we do something for organizations. Then we also have our simulator, which is our product, where we perform the same things, like we actually teaching you the same concept. So programs often include ongoing operations also, like maintenance is a constant part of our program. Like we have to maintain the website, we have to maintain the social networking and the communications with the students, so that we make sure that students are getting all the help they need. At the topmost level, we have a portfolio. For example, IT training certification portfolio at Edu HubSpot. So portfolio, it's a group of programs or group of projects which is intended to achieve a business result. So think at the topmost level, I have a portfolio which is IT training. Under IT training, I have one program which is PMP. Then we have a program which is ACP. Then we have a program which is PBA, the business analysis. Then we can add few more, like the risk management, the schedule management. Then under program PMP, we have different offerings. So at the very top, IT training, that's the portfolio. And the basic purpose of the portfolio is to achieve a business result. Then we have operations. So series of tasks or functions which are ongoing and repetitive. Like for example, Edu HubSpot call center operation to handle the support issues. So like for example, if you have some issues, you did not get the access, or you have some kind of issue in the software and things like that, then your call would be routed to the support function. So that is an operation, which is something ongoing, and the team does the same task over and over again. That's operation. So let's see the relationship between project, program, and portfolio. So project is at I would say at the smallest level. Program, since a lot of different projects are involved, so programs are at a second level. And finally at portfolio level, we have the the organization strategy, something which will talk about the organization strategy, what things we need to achieve to make sure that business achieve the business goals are met. That's at a portfolio level. So then we have this OPM, organizational project management. So what is this OPM? It's a framework where project, program, and portfolio are integrated together to achieve the strategic business objectives of the organization. So each and every project you do, each and every program you do, and each and every portfolio you do, the end goal is to make sure that you meet the business objectives of the organization. So OPM's basic purpose is to make sure right projects are selected and right resources are assigned to it. So first of all, we need to be very careful that we do good projects. Okay, if we don't select a good project, it might negatively impact our organization's progress. So we have to be very careful while selecting the project. And if we select the right project, even more important job is to make sure that we get right resources working on that project. So that's your organizational project management. Then project phases. The entire project is actually divided into phases. Like for example, as the project progresses, stakeholders' ability to influence the project decreases. So what happens in the beginning, stakeholders are a little confused. They are little concerned that what if this course is not what they are looking for. So they will try to give more and more requirements in the beginning. They'll say, Varun, why don't we do something like this? Varun, why don't we do it little differently? But as the project will progress, as the things will align up, there would be a level of trust which the stakeholders, you guys, will have with me. You will start listening to the videos, you will start developing that trust, you will start understanding that yes, I'm getting the concept. So slowly and gradually your influence will decrease, and you will start trusting the people, those who are working with. Similarly, risk of failure also decreases. See, in the beginning, the risk of failure is always the highest. What if you are not able to continue this study? So in the beginning, there would be a lot of moments, when you might have to, where you might want to give up. See, this is not, I would say losers give up in the beginning. You need to be very focused, and trust me, you will get all the support you need, but you need to make sure that you clear the exam. You do your hard work. Do this hard work, give these 2 months to me, and trust me, I will make sure, I promise you, I'll get this 3-letter word after your name. Cost will usually rise up to a point and then decline. So why it is so? You start from the bottom, you go up in the execution stage where your maximum time is being spent, where you have the most number of resources. So that's where your cost will, at a high point in the middle. And then finally, as the project will progress, you will start releasing the resources, and finally, all the resources would be gone. So that's your, cost. Then we have different relationships, like so basically we have two types of relationships: sequential and overlapping. So sequential relationship is like, a phase starts only when the previous phase is complete. So for example, if I have different phases, like phase 1, I have the website. Then phase 2, I have the Android app development. And then phase 3, we have the Apple app development. Now, sequential relationship, what will happen in sequential relationship is that first I will complete the phase 1, which is website, and then only I will take a decision whether it is really worth to go for the phase 2, which is Android app or Apple app. Overlapping relationship is, but if you see the phase 1, which is sequential, it will consume more and more time. What if I would have done these things in parallel, I would have, saved little time. Overlapping relationship is another thing. A phase starts prior to the completion of the previous one. It may require additional resources, may increase the risk, and can result in rework. So like, for example, what I'm doing, I started phase 1, I started it for some time, I did it for like, let's say, a month or so, and then I started the phase 2 development. Now what I'm doing things in parallel. But if you ask me personally, what I'm doing, my concentration is also on the website, my concentration is also on the Android app development, my concentration is also on the Apple app. So all the 3 things are being done simultaneously. I definitely need more resources in order to do that. So it is little more risky, but of course, if timing is crunch, and for me timing is the most important priority I have to give, then I would prefer to do the overlapping relationship. Okay, so next we have the kill point or exit gate. So kill point or an exit gate is a review which is taken care at the end of each phases. So why I do that? Because I really want to know if the project should continue or not. Is it really worth to do the Android app? Is it really worth to do the Apple app? We sometimes have to take those hard decisions that yes, it is not worth. So again, the different names of a kill point it's also known as kill point, exit gate, or phase review, or stage gate, or phase entrance, phase exit. So if they are using these terms, this means they are talking about the kill point. Then we will use this term progressive elaboration a lot whole through your PMP coursework. It's a popular concept in project management that project details will often be revisited and refined. So what are you doing is that, not everything is known upfront. You don't know what are the complete requirements of your project. So what you will do is, you will first start with few things. You will develop a prototype, you will show it to the customer will see, provide the feedback, and then you will move ahead. So that's progressive elaboration. You are progressing and elaborating your concepts, your knowledge about that product. That's progressive elaboration. Rolling wave planning is somewhat similar. We do the same thing in rolling wave planning also. We start at the beginning, whatever things are known, we try to build a prototype, and as more and more things become, um, uh, more and more things become like, we come to know about those things, then we will keep on adding it to the product. The certification is project management professional, right? So we did what is project, but what is this project management? It's a use of knowledge, skills, and resources to accomplish the requirements of the project. See, what is the requirement of this project, what you're doing? The main requirement is to make sure that you get this word PMP after your name, right? That is why we are doing this course. That is why we are, learning these concepts. So first of all, the use of knowledge. You're using your knowledge, what you have learned in real life, right? You're using those skill set you have developed in order to appear for the exam. You are using these resources like these videos, like, these would be the resources which would help you to make sure you succeed the exam in first attempt. So project management, it's a combination of your knowledge, of your skills, and some resources, like for example your laptop, your phone you are using to practice the questions. All of those things are part of project management. Historical information, in particular records that have been kept on prior projects. So historical information is another common term which we will see a lot. Like for example the lessons learned, you can call it like that. That whatever things which have been done in the past, some good things or some bad things, we wanna, if they are good things, we wanna replicate those good things on our this coursework, right? You might go and talk to your friends, colleagues, those who have already cleared the PMP exam, and you might ask them that what are the good things which help them, and you may wanna do the same things. Baseline, the original plan plus all approved changes. So you'll see this term baseline a lot, and specifically baseline is about three things, which is scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. What do I mean by this word baseline? It's the original plan. Like for example, I told you that I'm giving you $10,000 on your project. So that's your original budget given to you. Plus, then after a while I said that, you know what, I need you to develop a new feature which will cost additional $2,000. So now your new baseline would be $12,000. So that's baseline, the original plus any approved changes to that. It could be for scope, schedule, or it could be for cost. All of these things will report to the project management plan. They are part of your project management plan. Lessons learned, just like historical information, same thing. What you would have done differently to avoid variances between what was planned to happen and what actually happened in a project or phase. So again, lessons learned is the same thing, right? There might be some good things which you would have learned from your past projects. You want to use those good things on your project. You want your project to be successful. You want your customer to be satisfied. Similarly, on the other way around, there might be some issues in the past project. There might be some things which did not go as per the plan. Again, you don't want to make those same mistakes. You don't want to repeat those mistakes. That is lessons learned, right? You will have all those information documented in those lessons learned. Then we have the project life cycle, the flow from phase to phase, from the beginning to the end of the project. Project life cycle can be predictive or adaptive or incremental, and there are many more. We will be discussing those development life cycles in a while. But just think the flow from one phase to another. Like for example, the flow from our website to the Android app to the Apple app, from one phase to the other. Then we will use this term work authorization system a lot, which is a system to ensure that project works gets performed at the right time in the correct sequence. So basically doing the right thing at right time in right format. So doing the right thing at the right time in right format. That is your work authorization system. Like for example, this course for you. You did the right thing, you're doing the right thing, you have started early, you are planning, you are like watching the videos, you're trying to improve the concept. So this is the right thing. At the right time, I'm not really sure that's the right time for it. It depends from case to case. There are few folks which start pretty early, so for them it's the right time. But trust me, you know what, it's never too late. Now you are on the safe hands, you are on the right track, and you're doing your best. The only thing you need to do is it's in the right format. And the right format is actually, this is something which, uh, if you reach out to us, we may, after discussing with you, we may come up with a study plan based upon your needs, based upon your availability. That's the right format. And to be honest, I can tell you the right format. First, watch the videos, then read the PMBOK, then solve the knowledge area questions first. That's iteration number one. Iteration number two, repeat, and now start solving the full length test. The 4 hours, we want you to practice for 4 hour questions as well. We want you to understand that your real exam is 4 hours, and that might be challenging. So you need to keep yourself prepared for that. That's your, the study plan format. So basically that's your work authorization system. Then we will use these three terms a lot: work performance data, work performance information, and work performance reports. So work performance data, it's the raw observation and measurements identified during activities performed to carry out the project work. For example, the raw observations. What is the first raw observation you have taken this course? You have probably watched 2 or 3 videos, or probably might more. You might say that, oh, Varun is not good, or Varun is great, right? There could be, several, you might have built certain kind of raw observation. So when I'm talking about a raw observation, I'm talking about the work performance data. But when, as the project will progress, you start building that trust level with me. You will start to have more information about the things. That is your work performance information, which is like your cost and schedule indicators. Like if I say my project is doing good, what does good mean? Good for somebody means that you are on budget. Good for somebody means that you are under budget. So again, it depends, right? So work performance data was just at a raw observation level. Work performance information is at a more definitive level. And from work performance data, we move to the work performance report, where all those information is actually represented in some kind of report, like status report, which we send out, or like, the dashboard, the memos. One thing to keep in mind is your work performance data always gets converted into work performance information, and your work performance information always gets converted into your work performance reports. When I'm talking about this conversion, I'm talking about your inputs and outputs. So when your input is work performance data, which will happen for your monitoring and control processes, so that data will get converted into information. So your output will be the information. In few cases where your information is the input, your output will be the work performance reports. Okay, now let's talk about these development life cycles. So first we have the predictive life cycle, a waterfall model where project scope, cost or time are determined in the early phases of the project. The most common one, the software development life cycle, where what are we trying to do is, we are trying to determine the scope, the cost, the time and the early phases, and then we are, going through the process one by one. We have a definite and a very specific change request process. Okay, that's your predictive life cycle. Then we will move to the next one, which is your iterative life cycle. Scope is determined in the early phases. However, time and cost are constantly updated as the project will progress. So first of all, you will determine the scope. Then you will build a series of iteration. And then in each iteration, you will work towards something like you will do plan, develop and feedback. Again, you will do the same thing, plan, develop and feedback. So basically what you are doing, you are building a series of iteration to come up with a full-fledged product, right? That's your iterative cycle. So again, these are a series of repeated cycles. That's iterative. Then we have the incremental life cycle, adaptive life cycle and the hybrid life cycle. So let's first see what is incremental. As more and more functionality is determined, the project goes through series of iterations. After final iteration, the project will be considered as complete. So incremental, this is actually based upon the iterations only. In incremental, you have series of iterations. In each iteration, you come up with something. Like for example, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to make a login page on the website. So in the first iteration, what you will deliver is, like for example, just a simple plain, name and the email name, email address, and that's it. Nothing more. So once that is done, you could see that your name is done, and you have mentioned your name, you have the email address, and all those things. A basic functionality of the login page. Then when we move to the second iteration, what we will do, we will try to increase we'll try to increase the functionality of that. Like for example, we'll probably add some Java, CSS related things which can help us to look that like the page looks more prettier. Or for example, you might add a functionality about the invalid credentials. What will happen if the person adds an invalid credential? What use case or what message he or she might get? And in the third credential, we might add the forgot password functionality. So what I did in incremental, I had certain set of iteration. Each iteration had certain functionality which was supposed to be done. And once that was done, after my third iteration, I could say that, okay, our login page is fully complete. Okay, so only after the final iteration, I'll consider this as complete, that yes, I could use it and use it for for the public. That's your incremental life cycle, which is dependent on iteration, different iteration. Now let's see adaptive life cycle. So adaptive life cycle, it's an agile process where scope is well defined before each iteration. So before I move into the iteration, I would say that, okay, in these are the things which I will do. Once that is finished, I'll move to the next. That's your adaptive. Agile is one of the example of adaptive. Very popularly it is known as. Then we have the last one, which is the hybrid life cycle. Hybrid is a combination of predictive and adaptive. Predictive, if you remember, that was the waterfall model, right? So your fixed requirements would be done by the predictive life cycle, and the requirements which are constantly updating, changing, evolving, you will follow the adaptive, the agile approach towards it. Then you will see this term triple constraint triangle a lot, specifically in the integration management when we will be doing the perform integrated change control process. So what is this? It says a change in one constraint will affect at least one other constraint. That's your triple constraint triangle. I repeat, a change in one constraint will affect at least one other constraint. Like for example, if you want to add more scope on your project, it will have impact on at least either on time or on cost. Like for example, I'll go back to my customer and say that, okay, Mr. A, if you want to add more scope, I would probably need some more time. So if the customer comes back to me and say that, no, I can't give you more time, you need to complete it within that specific time, then I'll say that, okay, let me add some more resources on the project to get that work on time. If I'm adding more resources, this means my cost might increase, right? So again, at least one of the other two legs might change when there is a change. That's your triple constraint triangle. Then you will see this business document a lot. We will constantly talk about the business documents. So first of all, it's the responsibility of the sponsor to develop these business document. First, we have the business case. It's a document that will have the feasibility study to prove the validity of the benefits laid out in the benefits management plan. It will include business need, strategies, goals, objective, gap analysis, and the success criteria. So basically, business cases, why we are doing this project. What are the objectives? What are the goals of this particular project? It's all about the project success. Will my project be successful or not? This business case will actually help you to to gauge whether your project was successful or not. This business case will help you to take that go no go decision. That's your business case. Then in the benefits management plan, this is the document which is all about benefits. How and when these benefits will be delivered, how to measure these benefits, anything and everything about benefits. Like for example, what are our target benefits? What is how they are strategically aligned to the project objectives? How these benefits? What is the time frames? When are these benefits would be delivered? Who is the owner of these benefits? What is the matrix I am checking against this benefit? What are the assumptions on these benefits? What are the risks on these benefits? So it's all and everything about benefits. Then we will see these project triggers, that why we really need the project. This is one thing which is actually part of your business case, that why we need it and why do we even start doing the project. Like for example, if I ask you, why do you want to do PMP? You may say that, Varun, it's the market demand, everybody is doing it, it's pretty popular. Sometime you may say it's an organizational need, I'm doing it because my organization wants me to do it. Sometimes we may say that it's a customer request, that's why I'm doing it. Sometimes it's a technological advance, there is a change in technology, like that's why people are doing it from 5th edition to 6th edition. Sometimes it's a legal requirement, that's why you're doing it. Well, again, like for example, I remember I taught a course for one of the companies, and it was mandatory for those employers, like it was a government contract, I remember. It was mandatory for those employees that they have to do PMP if they have to work on government contracts. Sometimes it's a social need, sometimes it's a ecological impact. So again, it depends. Why you do a particular project, it may depend upon all of these factors. Then we have the project selection or benefits measurement method, an important topic. This is something which is part of your benefits management plan. You may get 3-4 questions in the exam out of this. So important. So first of all, we have bigger is better. First of all, if you are from the finance industry, then this is a good slide for you. Okay. But if you're not from the finance industry, you will say that does it mean that this slide is not good for me? No, I won't say that. First of all, as I told you in the beginning, that PMP is not very specific to any particular industry. So don't worry. I won't spend much time on this particular slide because what I want you to do is just understand the concept. No need to understand what does net present value means. No need to understand what internal rate of return means. I'm not here to teach you project management. I'm here to make sure that you select the best answer out of the 4 options in your real exam. I'm here to get you PMP. That's my real job, and that's why I will teach you this particular slide in a little different way. So if in the exam there are 2 projects, A and B. A has a BCR of 1.2, B has a BCR of let's say 3.4. Which project will you select? This is an exam question, similar exam questions you will get on the exam. So it is benefit cost ratio, benefit cost. So as I said, bigger is better, right? So this means we will select project B. Similarly, if they say economic value add of project A is 1 million, for 2 is 3 million, which project will you select? B. So again, bigger is better. Select the project with bigger number. Okay. Similarly, on the other hand, we have smaller is better. In few instances, we have smaller is better, which is cost benefit ratio. Cost benefit ratio is opposite of benefit cost ratio. So if benefit cost ratio means bigger is better, cost benefit ratio means smaller is better. So sometimes they might confuse you by using these 2 terms. So you should know that BCR higher number is better, CBR smaller number is better. Then you will see this payback period. Like for example, if they say A has a payback period of 2 months and B has a payback period of 5 months, which project will you select? You want your money to be paid back to you early, right? You don't want to wait it till the end. So you will select the one with smaller number, which is A, which is 2 months. So that's your payback period. Okay. Next is, sometimes in the exam they might give you a different type of questions. Like they might give you three values. Like they might say that A A has a IRR of 3%, B has a IRR of 5%. So first we talked about the IRR. Then they might say A has a NPV of 1 million, B has a NPV of, let's say, half a million. That's your NPV. And finally, they might say that A has a um, payback period of, let me explain it here. A has a payback period of 2 months and B has a payback period of 5 months. So all of these things are given to you in the same question. They have said A has a IRR of 3%, NPV of 1 million, and payback period of 2 months. Which project will you select? And on the other hand side, B has an IRR of 5%, NPV of half a million, and payback period of 5 months. So now which particular project to select? Now remember this thing, that, and always remember, your project will always be given which has the highest NPV. So first your NPV will be the given priority, then you will give the priority to IRR, and then to your payback period. So irrespective of whether A or B have, both of the things in greater, you don't care about it. You will only select that answer which has higher NPV. So in this case, A had a higher NPV of 1 million. So you will just go for project A, and that will be your answer. Always give the top priority to NPV, then to IRR, and then to payback period. Okay. Then there is one more concept which is your opportunity cost, the cost of a lost opportunity. So, for example, they will give you in the exam, they'll give you a project A and they'll say that if you select project A, you will benefit 2 million out of it. Similarly, they will say if you select B, you will benefit 3 million out of it. But you can only select one project out of it. So, if you can select one project out of it, either A or B, the opportunity cost would be the cost of lost opportunity, the cost which you did not get. So like for example, if I decided to do project A for any reason, then the opportunity cost would be 3 million, because I got the 2 million but I did not got the 3 million. Similarly, on the other way around, if I selected project B for any reasons, let's say because the benefit was more, I will get, the opportunity cost would be 2 million. The cost of lost opportunity, the cost which I did not get. That's your opportunity cost. Okay, so this marks the completion of your foundational terms and concepts. Let's quickly do a revision. Focus on your project selection methods, how you select a particular project, the stuff which we did just recently, very important. Focus your understanding on the difference between a project, program, and a portfolio. That's important. Then make sure you know the various type of development cycles, the predictive, the adaptive, incremental, iterative, all those are also important. And as always, take as many questions as possible. Next, we would be discussing the process framework, where I will tell you the example of, the 49, the 5, the 10s. We have 49 processes, 5 process groups, and 10 knowledge areas. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. everyone. So now let's discuss the fifth chapter of this introduction module. So basically, this entire introduction module is divided into 5 to 6 videos, and now we are on the fifth video. Uh, Prior to this, we discuss about some of the foundational terms and concepts. We discuss about the life cycles, which was very important. So all of those things were really important. But ITTOs, your ITTO sheet which you have downloaded from the website, if you have not done it right now, please make sure that stop this video right now, go to the website www.eduhubspot.com, and under the resources tab, download that free ITTO sheet. That's really very important because we want you to concentrate on your input, tools, techniques, and output, which is your crux of project management. But let me repeat, let me iterate. I don't want you to memorize. I want you to understand those concepts, what I'm referring to. So this is the process framework. So let's see, what do we have? The PMBOK guide, the Project Management Institute has organized the PMBOK guide into framework of processes, groups, and knowledge areas. So basically we have 49 processes, we have 5 process groups, and we have 10 knowledge areas. So if you see, the tools actually work on the inputs. The tools actually work on the inputs to give you the outputs. That's your framework structure. And if you have your ITTO sheet, you can see that the first tab is all about this particular processes, where how these ITTOs are actually inclined, or are in which process group or which particular knowledge areas. So it's actually developed there. Second tab would be to go into much more details, which will talk about this thing, which is your inputs, tools, and your output. The third tab is about the differentiation between the project management plan and the project documents, and also between the scope statement and the charter. Fourth tab is your mathematics piece. You will get questions on the mathematics also, so we want to make sure that you memorize all the formulas as well. So this is more of like a cheat sheet kind of thing. So let's see, what is the process group flow. Process groups are not performed in a serial end-to-end fashion. They are not the same as project phases. So again, it is not serial end-to-end. So it's initiation, then we have planning, then we have execution, then we have MNC, and then we have finally the closing. So I'm not saying that after you complete initiation, then only you can start planning. After you complete planning, then only you can start execution. Then only you can do monitoring control, and then only you can do closing. It's not serial end to end. Most of the things happen in actually parallel only. Of course, first you complete the project charter, then you would move to the planning. So after you complete the initiating process, then you will move to the planning. Based upon the planning, you might execute something, and then you may come to know that, okay, you did something not good, your planning was not good. So you go back on the drawing board and you again start doing the planning. You will again execute, again plan, again execute, again plan. So this cycle will go on and on and on. Once everything is all set, then you will go ahead and close the process. But if you see on the top, you have the monitoring and control. So monitoring and control would be your uppermost umbrella. From the day one, your monitoring control starts, because ultimately you as a project manager want to monitor your progress from day one only, right? So similarly, this course also for you, right? You started this course. If you are not monitoring and controlling your preparation, you may not meet your end date, whatever planned date you have focused, which you have thought about giving the exam. So in order to do that, you have to remain very, very focused. So there are 10 knowledge areas in all. So first we discuss the 49 processes, then we have 5 process groups, and there are 10 knowledge areas. So what are those knowledge areas? So we have scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, resource management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, and your stakeholder management. All of those you combine will form your first knowledge area, which is your integration management knowledge area. Integration means to integrate, to join each and every knowledge area together. Every process is a member of one and only one knowledge area. So like if you see your first tab of your ITTO sheet, you can see that every process over there is a part of only one knowledge area, and it's only part of one process group. Like for example, your first process name is develop project charter. Develop project charter is part of only integration management. It's not part of scope management, it's not part of communication, or it's not part of procurement management. And on the other hand, develop project charter is part of only initiating. It's not part of planning, it's not part of execution, or it's not part of closing or monitoring control. Every process is part of only one process group and only one knowledge area. The tens, the fives, the 49. So on the vertical axis, you have the tens, which means your knowledge areas. You have 5 process groups from initiating till closing, and in the middle you have 49 processes. You can refer this on your ITTO's first tab. Let's quickly discuss the common inputs, tools, and output. So first we will see enterprise environmental factors, then we will see organization process asset, project management plan, and work performance data. You will see these terms as a lot, like, all of these are actually, very, very common. Like first is EEF, enterprise environmental factors. Anything that affects your project which is not under the control of project team. Examples include the organization culture, the organization, PM's power, risk tolerance, and of course the market. So basically EF could be internal or EF could be external to your organization. Internal could be something like, what is the culture of the organization? Like how powerful is the PM in this organization? Like I remember, I used to work for an organization where I was allowed to start my work at at my leisure time. Like probably I used to come at like 12ish in the afternoon, and then I used to work like till 8ish. Their main goal was to make sure you complete the project, make sure you do your work assigned. And similarly, I've also worked for organization where I have to be at work at 9 o'clock, like come what may be. Like I have to be at office. That was a different organization culture. I would say that those things were internal to my organization and are examples of EEF. Other external examples could be the market, right? There are changes in the market like almost every day. So those examples which may impact my project is also, type of EEF. On the OPS side, anything that helps you which is specific to your organization. Examples include previous plans, documents, analytical data, policies. So like, internal, I would say organizational process assets, something very internal specific to your organization. Like for example, your corporate knowledge base. Where are you storing these lessons learned? Where are you gathering that information? If you want to do some lessons learned, if you want to see a particular template, you will actually go to your knowledge base, which is of your organization. Then how you can improve the policies, how you can improve the processes which are followed by your organization. All those things are also part of your OPA. Then we have the project management plan, which we would be discussing in the integration management knowledge area. It's like, I call this project management plan as the father. If you have your ITTO sheet with you, go to the third tab and you can see the difference between the project management plan and your project documents. So it has clearly laid out the difference between these two plans and the document. Then we have the work performance data. We have already discussed the raw observations, right? This would also be used as a common input. Remember, data will always get converted into information. Then we will have some of the tools which would be used almost in all of the processes. The first one, we have the expert judgment, which is consulting with someone or a group who has expertise in a particular area. Like for example, I use this expert judgment a lot in my organization while helping my students a lot. A lot of people look up to me for the answers to some of the doubts they have. That's expert judgment. So I am an individual who is helping them, providing my my expertise in trying to help them clear the PMP exam. That's expert judgment. Then we will use these meetings a lot, which is discussing and addressing pertinent topics of the project. Whatever you do, you probably start with a meeting, right? For what are the different types? I would say, like for example, do a meeting for information exchange. You do a meeting for brainstorming. You want to evaluate all the options, like discussions for design. Decisions for decision making. You do meetings almost for everything. That is another common tool. Under the meeting, there is another important topic, which is your kickoff meeting. You might get some questions on kickoff meeting, like approximately I can say 1 or 2 questions on the meeting, specifically on the kickoff meeting. So a meeting scheduled to discuss the roles and responsibilities, get the team members commitment, and communicate the project objective. So kickoff meeting is widely practiced, but what does this kickoff meeting and when it is conducted? This is something where you will discuss the roles, and this is actually done at the early stages of your project. Like if it's a small project, you will probably do that in the planning phase shortly after the initiation stage, because you get the project charter approved, you get the project manager assigned on the project, and as soon as your planning starts, you want to do a formal kickoff, meet the stakeholders. Then if it's a pretty large project, you want to do that in the execution stage shortly after the planning stage, because now you have done all the planning, you have everything, all the information after gathering it from the stakeholders, but now you want to lay out to the team, to the stakeholders, that this is how we will execute this. What type of life cycle are we using? Is it adaptive or a predictive, incremental? It depends. Some of the common outputs which you will see: change request. Change request is something, whatever you do something, there is a change request. Like for example, you did not plan to download the ITTO sheet, but what if, while doing the studies, I told you again and again to download, you went ahead and actually downloaded the ITTO sheet, right? So this is something which is a change request on your project. You did not plan for it, but now you have to do it because you know that this is something which can help you a lot. So change a document, deliverable, or baseline, how the work is, or how the work is being performed. So you can do a lot of changes on the project. First of all, you do a change request as a corrective action, realigning the project work with the project management plan. So you are doing the project, but when you do a comparison of your plan and what you are actually doing, you see that you are not on track. You missed few things. So at that particular stage, you might have to go back and make some corrective actions. Then you also do a change request for preventive actions. Make sure that the future project work is aligned with the project management plan. Like this example, the change request which came, that when you went ahead and went to the website to download that ITTO sheet, that's a preventive action, right? Ultimately, we want to make sure that we are preventing, we are doing the right steps to make sure that your project is aligned with the only one goal we have, which is the success for you. Then we have the defect repairs, which is correcting the non-conforming product requirements. So like for example, we have a non-conforming product. We see that there were some issues. So defect is something which is caught by the customer. You launched it and you found out that this was not good, or it's not working as expected. What you should do? You have to go back and repair that, right? So that's, sometimes there would be change requests based upon the defect repairs also. And also there is another common output, I would say, the updates. Lot of time you will see that you are updating the organization process asset, or you are updating any plan documents or document updates. So updates happen all the time. We will be discussing about these updates in much more detail when we are in the individual 49 processes. So let's do a quick revision. Focus on the project framework. Always remember the 49, the 5, the 10. Focus on some of the common tools and outputs, common inputs, tools and output. We discussed like the change request, the EEF, OPA, business case, benefits management plan. Focus on the importance of kickoff meeting when it is scheduled. You might get some questions on that. And most importantly, practice as many questions as possible. So when I'm saying practice as many questions as possible, I'm referring to the introduction questions. You may get a lot of questions from the introduction section. So first of all, make sure you're doing in the first half, and then when you do the full length test 4 hours, you have to see that how many questions you got it correct from the introduction portion as well. So this marks the completion of your fifth video. Next, we would be discussing the different types of roles you have on a project. What are the different organizational types, and what is a leader? What is the difference between leadership and managing? We will also talk about the different types of power which are shown by a leader or a project manager. So stay tuned for that one as well. Thank you. Hello everyone. So now let's talk about the last video of the introduction module, the roles, organization types and leadership. So this is your last video for the introduction, and basically what we covered in this entire introduction videos were your first 3 chapters from PMBOK. I gave you a brief overview of all the important topics which are important from your first 3 chapters. Once we are done with this, the next we will move to the real PMP. When I call it like the real PMP, I'm talking about your the knowledge areas, which is your first one is your integration management knowledge area. But prior to doing that, let's see what do we have in this. So first we have the roles on a project. We have different roles, like for example the project manager. The most important role I would say is about the project manager, who is making sure that work is done as planned, and he or she is somebody who takes the project from the beginning till the very end, the closing the project. Then we have coordinator and expediter. I will describe that in the following slide. Then we have the senior management. So you can call senior management somebody from your senior project manager or your program managers, and those are the people, those who are your senior management. Then we have the functional manager. So functional manager is somebody who will give you the resources. Like for example, let's say you work for the PMO and you need some developers, right? You need some developers on the project. So you might go to the dev team and get those developers. So that dev team manager would be your functional manager. Similarly, let's say you want some, testers. You might go to the quality team and get some testers. So your quality team manager would be your functional manager. Then we have a stakeholder. Stakeholder mean somebody who has directly or indirect impact on a project. So somebody who has direct or indirect impact on a project, that's a stakeholder. Somebody who will be or is being impacted by our project, that's a stakeholder. Then sponsor is someone who will be paying for the project, somebody but at almost like at a very senior level, you can say. Then we will also discuss about the project management office. We'll discuss that in this video in some time. Then of course we have the program manager. So somebody who is not just managing a project, but is somebody who is managing at a program level. We have already seen the difference between the project, program, portfolio and operations. So first let's see what is the difference between a coordinator and an expediter. And so the project expediter has the least power of the three. First of all, when I'm talking about the three, I'm talking about the PM, the coordinator and the expediter. Basically ensuring tasks happen on time, reporting back to the superior. So expediter is someone who is reporting to the superior and making sure that the team did what was asked. Role of project manager in a weak matrix organization is more of a coordinator or an expediter. We will discuss the weak matrix sometime later, but think of a role of a project manager is more of the coordination or an expedite, more like an expediter in that particular type of organization. Project expediter works as a staff assistant and like the communication coordinator. So expediter is more like a staff assistant. Like I would request them to make sure that can you make sure that my meetings are as per the plans. Can you make sure that can you get me the pizza for the pizza party, what we have planned, things like that. I would expect a coordinator to, an expediter to do that for us. The expediter cannot personally make or enforce the decision. So expediter does not have that power to enforce any decision. Project coordinator have power to make some decisions but have some authority and report to a higher level manager. So you can say that more than the expediter, a coordinator has little more power than the expediter. Like they will have some more power and they can take few decisions. But most importantly, like they might have to go back to your senior manager or like a project manager to help them take the decisions. Like for example, sometime I asked my coordinator to accompany me to write the meeting notes from the meeting. So those are some of the things which I take the help of coordinator. So at the bottom level, we have the expediter, then we have the coordinator, and then we have the project manager. So let's see what PMO is. The department that standardize the project related processes, make sure the right resources are assigned, and the project team has right tools and techniques in order to complete the project. So again, not all organizations have the PMO. And there are different types of PMOs as well. But basically, the purpose of PMO is to make sure that they give you the right resources, they give you the right tools to make sure that you successfully complete the project. That's the real purpose of PMO. There are three types of PMOs. First, we have the supportive PMO, where project repository which provides templates, training, lessons learned, etc. Control of this PMO is low. So this type of PMO, it's more basically used just for the templates, just for some kind of trainings or lessons learned and things like that. Really, the power on the PMO side is low, and if you need something, you'll probably take the help. You can take some trainings and templates and things like that. Then on the second side, we have the controlling, which is PMO that concentrates on compliance. Compliance to use specific project and governance framework or methodologies. Compliance to use specific templates, tools, etc. So control of this PMO is moderate. So now we are dealing with the PMO which is little more controlling, and the power is little more moderate as compared to supportive. And basically they are more working towards the compliance. Like for example, if you're using some kind of templates, then that template must be compliant as per the organization standard. And then we have the directive. Project managers are assigned by the PMO and they will manage the project. Control of this PMO is high as project managers directly report to the PMO. So let's say I am a I am a project manager. I will report to the PMO director, and my assignment would be done by my director. So PMO, like in this case, PMO has very high power. They are the ones, those who will decide that whether this whether you should do this project or not, or whether this resource should do this project or not. So all of this is directive. Let's discuss the different types of organization. So the type of project delivery organization will have an impact on the way the project is managed and its success. So there are different types of organizations. After discussing each one of them, I want you to understand and think that what type of organization structure you work for. So first we have the organic or simple. It's a very small organization fall in this category where everything is done by everybody. Like I would say, like probably the even the owner of the company will take all the decisions, and you have very few people, and everybody has to do all the work because since the number of people are very small. That is your organic or simple. Then you have the functional organization, an organization in which the project team members work for a functional department. In the functional organization, the functional manager has the most power. The project manager, if the role exists, is typically only part-time and has little organizational authority. So functional managers is basically very much dependent on the functional managers. In the functional organization, you will have your entire organization will be based upon functional departments, and whatever work, if it is required to be done, it will be taken care by the functional manager. Most of the time, you won't see the role project manager, but if you will see, they would have very little authority. For each and everything, they might have to get an approval from the project manager. That's your functional organization. Then we have multi-divisional. So multiple divisions at multiple locations which may replicate the work across the divisions. Little centralization as compared to functional. So functional is very centralized. Opposite of functional is the multi-divisional, which is which has multiple divisions, and it's all around the world, and whatever work you are doing at your particular division, the same person, like not the same person, some different person might do the same thing at some other location. That's your multi-divisional. It's not centralized at all. Then we have virtual organization. Employees or even enterprises are working as separate entities to achieve the common objective of the project. This type of organization is highly dependent upon information technology to support their group, support their work. Like for example, I would say that virtual is more like we have a team, and your team members and the organizations are located all across the world, and each of them is more like an organization in itself. Like for example, you have your factories in Korea, and you're making sure that all the work is being done from South Korea. Then in some different countries you have the sales representative. In a different country you have the advertising agency. Then you have some research firm which is in some different group. All of these are virtually located, and you can say that all of these are organization in itself. That's your virtual organization. And basically the common objective is to make sure that they successfully complete the project on time. That's everybody's goal. So then we have the matrix organization, an organization in which human resources have both functional as well as the project manager. This is the most common organization type, I would say. Departments will exist, like the functional departments will exist, allowing functional managers to manage the people in them. So the people would actually report to the functional managers. The project managers, they must just they most probably will borrow the resources, use those resources, and when the work is done, they will return it and they will go back to their functional teams. So it is divided into three, which is matrix strong, matrix balanced, and matrix weak. So when I say matrix strong, I would say you will have both the project manager as well as the functional manager. But the real power would remain in the hand of project manager. They would be the one who will take all the decisions. Opposite of matrix is actually the weak matrix. You will have both functional managers as well as the project managers. But in this case, functional managers will have more power. You can say the project coordinator and expediter, they are somebody who actually fall under the weak matrix. So if the role of PM is more like a coordinator or an expediter, most probably you are in the weak matrix. And then we have the most common, which is like the balance. Both project manager and FM are used, and the power is 50-50 between them. That's your balance matrix. Then we also have the project oriented or you can also call it as the composite or hybrid organization. In this organization, which is strictly structured by projects, so you don't have any functional department, you only deal with projects. In a project oriented organization, the project manager has the responsibility for the people and the project. While it gives the PM complete control, it risks overburdening the PM with human resource responsibility. So think of this organization as that you don't have any functional department. What you have is 5 projects which you need to make sure you complete it on time. Now, the only problem in this is, like, for example, in functional organization or like, matrix organization, if I am a PM, I may go to the functional manager and I may borrow the resources from them. And if even if I have to recruit and things like that, but in this, I cannot borrow. If they will report to your project. And if you need to hire, you might have to go out and hire it yourself. You don't have any specific departments which can help you to do that. That's your project oriented, composite or hybrid. I remember for composite organization, sometimes, what an organization does is they have a certain organization type, they follow certain practices, but sometimes the projects are so important that they will assign a specific team just to do your project. When they're assigning a specific team which will follow their own rules and structures, that is more like a composite organization. Then we have the hybrid, which is like, mixture of any of the organization types we have discussed. And PMO, we have already discussed the supportive, controlling, and all those PMOs we discussed. So let's see the project manager competencies. We have technical project managers, we have leadership, we have strategic and business development. So if you see, this is actually the PMI talent triangle, where it shows that how technical project management, how leadership, how strategic and business management are, the 3 legs of the triangle. So if you see technical project management, the knowledge, skills and behavior that is specific to one particular domain. Like, for example, let's say I'm a technical project manager. I'm very good in languages. When I'm talking about languages, I'm talking about Java, C#, .NET, and all those things. So if I'm a manager from that is more like a technical project management. Then leadership, the knowledge, skills and behaviors that are required to motivate the team, to lead the team, to make sure that organization achieve the business objectives. So leadership is at a top level. They are not worried about the projects, but they are worried about the overall objectives of the organization. They are the ones those who will motivate you. They are the ones who will make sure that they establish a vision. They will lead the team. They will make sure that you are motivated enough to do your job well. That's your leadership. Then we have strategic and business management. Implementing the decisions that support the strategic alignment and innovation for the organization. This helps to enhance the performance with better delivery of business outcomes. So this is more towards the strategy, more towards the organization strategy and making sure that you are aligned towards it. So strategic and business management, you're actually implementing those decisions to support the strategic decisions. Let's discuss the forms of power. So there are many forms of power, and they are also actually, I've covered these forms of power in the resource management knowledge area also. Over here you will see very much, I would say in much more detail. In that particular section, it's not that detailed, but I have just given an overview of few of the important ones. So first we have the positional, which is also known as formal, authoritative or legitimate. You are the boss. So on paper, you are the one who is the boss. That's your positional. Then we have informational, somebody who has control on gathering and distributing the information. So somebody who is just making sure that they gather the information and they distribute it proactively. That is something there, you are more like a informational power they use. Then we have referent, respect for you because you have gained that credibility. Like, for example, if I'm doing a great job and a lot of people respect me for what I'm doing, that's referent. Referent was also sometimes referred to as the relational, which is like, based on whom you are associated with. Like for example, if I know, let's say the VP, you need to understand, you need to listen to me because I know the VP of the company, right? So that is now, it's more like a relational, but referent and relational are like, very much related with each other. Sometimes you have a you have a great charismatic, you have a great personality. That is also, you use that kind of power, which is your personal or charismatic. So all of these two, the personal and charismatic, actually were part of your referent. Then situational, power due to unique situation. I would say, like for example, assume that one of the manager left the organization, and Miss X was promoted because of that, or Mr. Y was promoted because of that. So it was highly situational. I'm not saying that Miss X or Mr. Y did not deserve it, but I'm saying just because it was situational, they got promoted. Then sometimes we use expert power, that you know more than anyone else. That's why you are called an expert. Then sometimes it's reward oriented, and also the coercive, which is the punitive, which is you have the ability to promote, give a raise, or money, praises, all those things. That's reward oriented. Similarly, opposite of that is ability to fire, demote, or generally punish. That's your punitive or coercive. If you can give reward, most probably you can punish also. Then we still have a few more powers. We have the ingratiating, which is you're praising others to win a favor. That is ingratiating power. Like for example, let's assume I go to my senior management, and I talk some good things about them, just to make sure that I get my work done. If I'm using this kind of power, this means I'm using sorry, this means I'm using ingratiating power. Then we have the pressure-based power also. Pressure-based power is actually, somebody is putting pressure to limit the choices. Like for example, I can say that, my sales director is pushing me to make sure that I get the work done. That is like pressure-based. So you do the work based upon the pressure. Then you also have guilt-based power, which is like power due to obligation or sense of duty. This is my sense of duty. I have to do this work. I'm obligated to do this work. That's guilt-based power you use. Then you have persuasive power, which is power to provide arguments which eventually motivate people to the desired next steps. So you can say that argument is a negative word, but not necessary. Persuasive, I'm very persuasive. I will give you some good feedback. I'll give you some good thought process so that you can work accordingly. That's if I'm using this kind of power. This means I'm using persuasive power. And finally, we have the avoiding, which is I'm not participating in this discussion. If I'm doing things like that, that is I'm avoiding power. I'm using avoiding power. So all of these which we already discussed. Okay, then we need to understand the difference between leadership and management. So leadership and management are two different things. Like management is more like you're using the legitimate, the positional power. But leadership is more like you're influencing, you are collaborating with others. You're using that relational power. All those things are at leadership level. Management, you are more towards maintaining. Leadership, you are developing the team, you are innovating. So for leadership, you are actually you are providing a vision. Like for example, you will do the right thing at a leadership level. You have to do the right thing because people look up to you. On the management level, you need to make sure you do the things in a right way. So it's little different. uh, Management is more focused on the operational issues, but leadership is more focused on the vision, on the alignment, on the motivation and inspiration. That's why you see that a lot of leaders are highly inspirational speakers. You get to learn from a lot. When you listen to them, you work even harder to get the work done. You are motivated to do that. Be that kind of leader where people trust you. Okay, let's see what are the different types of leadership styles. So first we have the laissez-faire, which is popularly known as hands-off style, where the leader allows the team member to make their own decisions and even establish their own goals. Like for example, I will let my team and I'll say that, you know what guys, go ahead. This is your floor. You need to take full charge. If I'm doing things like that, this means I'm using the laissez-faire leadership style. Transactional, the leader will focus on your goals, will provide regular feedback and provide rewards on your accomplishment. So this is more like a transactional, which is once the goals are established, I will give you regular feedback. I'll make sure that you are on the right track. If you need any help, I will be more than happy to help you out in that. And if you do a good job, I'll probably provide you with rewards as well, right? Then we have the servant leader, which is a leader who will focus on relationships, who will put people first and will be very much interested in people's growth and learning. Like, be a servant leader. Always put your people first. If you start putting your people first, people will, in turn, help you to grow as well. Your growth is dependent upon your people's growth. So a servant leader will be focused on your growth, on your learning. Try to learn as much as possible. Then we have the transformational, which is a leader who will encourage the team for innovation and creativity. Be the change you want to be, right? Always. So it always starts from the beginning. You have to be a transformational. You have to grow. Like if you need to grow, you have to change. You have to innovate good things. You have to establish creativity. Then we have charismatic, which is a leader who is highly enthusiastic, who based upon his strong convictions will inspire the team. I have a good conviction, I won't do the wrong thing. I would be always ethical. That's charismatic leader. And then we have interactional, which is hybrid of transactional, transformational and charismatic. So it's like a combination of these: transactional, transformational and charismatic. So let's do a quick revision. Focus on the forms of power. There were many forms of power, so all of those powers are actually discussed in this particular video. There are few, the same are actually repeated in the resource management also. Focus on 49 processes, 10 knowledge areas and 5 process groups. Remember this number: 49, 10, 5. Focus on organization types and leadership styles. What are the different types of leadership styles and also the different types of organizations. And the last but not the least, make sure you are practicing many questions in this area. Okay, so this marks the completion of our last video of introduction section, which was talking about very important concepts like the organization type, the leadership styles, the talent triangle. So it was pretty very important. The forms of power, that was another important concept. The different types of role. So you may get a lot of questions from this. So I would say out of the introduction, this was one of the most important one. Next, once you watch the video, your next job is to make sure that you read the PMBOK. Once you read the PMBOK, your third task should be to go to the website. You know the website, which is www.eduhubspot.com, or download our Android or Apple app and start practicing the questions. Start doing first of all the introduction section questions, and then once you are done with the question, then move to the integration management videos. Again, follow the path. If you need any kind of help specifically for your application, you can definitely reach out to me. You have my email address, which is varun.anand@eduhubspot.com. Let me repeat, it's VARUN, my first name, .ANAND, anand@eduhubspot.com. The only reason I'm giving you my personal email address is if just in case you want to reach out to me directly. And of course we have our journal email address also, the services@eduhubspot.com. You can reach out there as well. Somebody from the support team will reply, and if required, I would be involved in those things. Remember, subscribe to our question of the day. You can do that on the website. So on your email, you will get a daily question from our side. You can practice and try to be a part of our social groups like on the Facebook and LinkedIn. A lot of students like you will become part of it. They will actually post questions, they will practice questions, and sometimes if they need be, they will tag me to those posts, and I will discuss those questions. I'll probably record another video. I'll post that video just to make sure that you are getting all the concepts you need, what you have. Remember, stay focused and stay hungry. There is lots and lots of information which is more, which we will be discussing. Thank you.